Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video. And today let's talk Hulk Hogan. So, I don't always make these kind of videos, but I wanted to do it for Hulk. Mainly because I am looking at Hulk Hogan, not Terry Bollea, right? They're the same person, but one meant a lot more to some people than the other, right? And I say that because over the last few years, he's been a controversial figure more than he's been the icon that put wrestling on the map. And if you didn't know, probably wouldn't have a lot of the wrestling stuff that we've got now if Hulk Hogan wasn't the face of the WWE. I think Vince McMahon Jr. slapped him on whatever he could. They got the trademark deal with Marvel to say Hulk. And so you got all these wrestlers that are, hulked out, right? That's what was appealing. And he was the ultimate babyface. I don't think you could say anybody else was as well known as the Hulkster, Hulkamaniac. What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania goes wild on you? So I'll always be appreciative and remember that. Behind the scenes, the man Terry Bollea was, for better or for worse, a complicated figure. But that's the duality of us as human beings. You're going to be the villain in some people's story and the hero in others. And I imagine it's hard to be this ultimate good guy and not break kayfabe, and then also not have your own opinions on the world and how it should be according to you. I met Hulk Hogan once, and it was towards the end of his wrestling career, like his full-time wrestling career. He had just gone through the divorce. He had the sex tape out that was leaked. He was suing Gawker for, I think he was awarded like $140 million or something like that because they put the tape out or something ridiculous like that. And so some of these websites went belly up that were affiliated with it too, were affiliated with Gawker as well because of the ordeal. And I don't know that he ever really recovered. So at his low point, he told the crowd that was in attendance to where I met him that he had only $100,000 in the bank. Now, me as a broke college student at the time that probably had less than $200 in the bank could just pay rent whenever I got paid, and then had $200 extra just to live off of. That was a lot of money. It's like, man, for $100K back in, I don't know, 2011, 2012. I'm like, you could get a modest home for that, couldn't you? You didn't have to live somewhere lavish, but hey, if you have been at the mountaintop, it's hard to say I'm going to live back down at the bottom, right? So me now, older, wiser, more financially stable, I could say I understand. All of that said, he had been a praying man. He had, confessed that he knew the Lord and that, he was trying to get right with his life. So you can't fault the man for that. But the things people do hold against him are, the later years where around the same time with the sex tape, he made some comments about African Americans and the type of man that he wanted his daughter to date, or in this case, not date. Basically saying, and I understand what he was saying. His choice of words were very awful, but you can see this footage for yourself. I'm not going to link it or post it up here, but the clean version of what he's saying is he wanted his daughter to marry somebody, if she's going to date somebody African American or black, that he wanted them to be like an athlete or somebody with, something going for themselves and not some thug. But the way he said it was not in a nice way. It was more of a racist way. And I don't think a lot of people forgave him for that, but maybe some of the black people that he knew and hung out with did because, why would he look at them that way? They're all making money together. So he probably doesn't include them in his sentiments there, but, maybe these young wannabe thugs, wannabe rappers, he probably was talking about them distinctly and descriptively. But hey, that's just my take on it. I would also add that, he came out as MAGA, and it's cool to hate MAGA. So him ripping off his shirt and showing the Trump train, lambasted on it as like, oh, um, does he own the rights to Hulk Hogan? Because if he does not, that's going to look interesting for WWE. Him coming out there showcasing that. I feel like his very last appearance, people booed him. They did not like him after all of that, and maybe he should have stayed out of politics. But that's not for me to decide for anybody, because you have other people who go the other way, and that may be more popular, and nobody has a problem with it. But we know WWE to be a more Republican type of facet. Just the fact that you had Vince McMahon have a little ordeal with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. Not only president, the WWE Hall of Famer has also become president of the United States. That's wild right there. But back to Hogan, that didn't make anything easier for him. I didn't know that he had the health problems he did. Evidently, some of his friends were keeping it secret, keeping it hush-hush. Maybe they thought he'd pull through from all of it, but he was in bad shape in his latter years. But, drugs, steroids, it's another lesson. Stay away from them. They have their perks, maybe, pun intended. When you're younger, you look great, and you're able to, do things that you normally can't do, but it catches up to you later on, because your body can't keep up with the changes that were done to it, and you end up paying with your life. Remember that health is wealth. That's something Hogan preached when I met him. If you don't have your health, you don't have nothing. He had all these back surgeries because he was doing that whole leg drop from the top rope and all that stuff. No 401k in wrestling. No health care as far as I knew, at least not back then. Some of the guys I've met. I got to meet Jake the Snake this weekend. I just saw APA, both Ron Simmons and JBL, Kane, all those guys, Ric Flair. I got to hang out and meet a lot of these guys, and they tell their stories about how they've got to be pretty much mercenaries with their finances, because wrestling, you're an independent contractor. That was McMahon's way of saying, hey, I'm absolved of whatever stuff you do to yourself. It has nothing to do with me, even though he kind of pushes you, he nudges you to look a certain way, to look like Marvel superheroes, so to speak. So all that said, I did want to give my thoughts, because I know a lot of people have conflicting thoughts on him, but he was an 80s icon. You can't take that from him. Maybe you don't like Terry Bollea, but did you not like Hulk Hogan? Did he not entertain you? So it's tough. I don't think he did anything illegal to anybody. He said some stuff that people don't agree with, and that's fine. But I think he still should have got a little more flowers. It's tough, man. But let me know your thoughts. Were you a Hulk Hogan fan? What did you think? It's just so surreal that he is outlived by people who you thought would have been gone sooner. I don't want to say any of those guys' names to jinx them or anything, but you do a look around at some of the people who are his peers, and you're like, whoa, this person's still around, that person's still around. And Hulkamania didn't get into the mid-70s, didn't get to the 80s. But take care of yourself and each other. Until next time, stay blessed. Other Yellow Hat Guy is out.